there, everybody. I am Sapna Mahadevan, your host for this wonderful evening, and I warmly welcome each one of you to PSTV. So, let's have a round of learning today as well with our fiction story writing masterclass. And as we have been seeing in each of these episodes, there is a wealth of knowledge that we have specially curated for all you people, right? So, let's get going to the fiction story writing masterclass. Unleash the writer in you, see to it that you have oodles of imagination there, and try putting pen to paper and see what you can deliver, right? And one of the tips that I always give my people here whenever they ask me for any advice there in the chat box, one of those tips is always that if you aspire to be a creative writer, then patience is key, right? So do have patience, trust your abilities, have faith in what you're writing, and keep on I should say fine tune the details and keep on practicing so that you master the craft, right? It's not going to be easy. Rome was not built in a day. So, yes, you need to have lots of patience here, but of course it is something that can very well be learned, right? So let's move ahead to our fiction story writing masterclass. We have the coming up segment where we showcase all of the planned activities, especially curated for all of you, right? So there it comes. Here are the gamut of activities that we have planned for today's episode. We have the essentials, there are essential tips. Then, of course, we would be delving deeper into what constitutes an interesting plot for our story, right? Now, after that, we would also be giving you some expert tips regarding the plot building pointers. And for the fun segments, we have the guess the movie. There is a crossword segment as well. There are icebreaker questions that will make you ponder on the situations that we give you here. And we also have a recommendation of the day, right? So are we all ready to move ahead? Let me check my comment box here. Okay, a big hello and good evening. Yes. So, Krishna, a very good evening to you. Hi there, Mehar. Hello, Vishnu. Hi, Varun. Hi there, Arav. Thanks a lot for joining the live here and dropping in there. Jennifer, a very good evening to you. Some familiar names that I can see in the chat box there. Great going there. Love to see all of you here joining the live each day, and the will that you have to learn and to grow by listening to all of these episodes here is something that I truly, truly admire. So let's move ahead to the episode here. And we have the first icebreaker question going, which is do you like Chinese cuisines? That's the first question for the day. And do write to me in the chat box here if you love having Chinese cuisine. And you can also write to me the names of the dishes if you want to, right? But basically, the question is if you like Chinese cuisine, do give me a yay or a shout out. And of course, if you don't like it that much, then maybe you can give me a no, right? So that's a simple one playing out there for all of you. Great. I see yes coming up there in the chat box. Okay. Good evening, Sony. Thanks a lot for joining the live. Anshul, a big wave of hi to you. Lovely. And I see yay coming up there. Yes, as well. Mehar Sony says yes. I don't see a no till now. So, yes, I think we all love Chinese cuisine, right? Great. Okay, so let's move ahead after that first icebreaker question to the next segment. And the segment is one of the golden questions: what's the genre, right? So let me tell you, just like I promised yesterday, we are back again with another exciting episode of the mystery genre. And this is going to be the broader genre that we are going to explore for today. But of course, in mystery, there's going to be a different subcategory. And what the mystery genre entails is, whenever people are reading this genre, then they are filled with uncertainty, filled with curiosity. They are really eager to turn the page quickly and check out what's going to happen next, right? So that's what mystery genre does to us. It elicits this thrill and excitement in all of the readers, right? So again, something that is so very special to read is also going to give you a lot of thrill to be writing about. Yes, so that's the mystery genre. It's really very interesting. We have another new comment here from my Miss Afra, and she says yes too. Lovely. So that was for the icebreaker question. And moving back on track, we just showcased that mystery is the broader genre for today. And let's now look at what's the subcategory. So the subgenre of the day in mystery is, there it comes, it is historical mystery, right? So let me tell you that it is who done it actually, but it has a blend of both history fiction as well as the mystery fiction. So if you try to blend both of these genres together, there is some kind of an incident that's going to trigger the mystery aspect, but the backdrop that you're going to present in your story is going to be historical. So that's how historical mystery works, right? And in these stories, the time period that is set is considered as historical from the author's perspective, and the central plot, it revolves around one of those crime or mystery elements. Whatever that incident that triggers off this mystery is what we are looking out for, right? So most usually the crime in a historical mystery would be a murder, but of course we can think differently, design our story out of the box, have our own uniqueness, and maybe include some other crime apart from murder as well. So it is again fictional. So totally depends on you as creative writers, what excites you for your story, right? So again, let me bring that focus on the historical mystery here. It means it's a blend of both of these genres, right? So one incident which triggers the mystery element, and the backdrop is going to be historical, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this episode plays out. And before we move any further, I'm going to take you to another icebreaker question. And the question is, who is your favorite superhero, right? So do let me know your answers in the chat box there. I'm going to wait for a few seconds. And I already know some of the favorite superheroes that you're going to write to me about. Yes, but I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. So do bring it in here, write to me in the chat box, and let me know who is your favorite superhero. Avengers or what is it? We have Spider Man, Superman, oh yes, Wonder Woman, right? We're all fascinated with our superheroes, right? Just hoping that we could get some of that energy and some of that power, right? Yes, totally magical, of course. Okay, so Vandana writes to me that she loves Peter Pan. And so Peter Pan has been coined as a superhero here. Great. Who else? Lovely. We have Avengers come up there. Great. So thanks again for all of these answers there. Lovely knowing all about the superheroes that you love. And two other comments that I get now. Krishna says that she doesn't watch cartoon. Okay. Taken, point taken, Krishna. But you would have heard of any superheroes that are your favorite? Great. Lovely to know all about the famous characters coming up on my screen here. Yes, and let's move ahead to the next segment. Here we are. Let me bring to you the essentials or the prerequisites that we would want to keep in our story, right? So, three definite elements that I'm going to give out to you all today for writing an exciting historical mystery. And all the three elements coming up right there on my screen, we have the characters, the setting, and also the incident, right? So, let's get to know more about each of these quintessential elements. The first one that we have are the characters. And let me tell you that whenever you're writing historical fiction, do not think that because we are writing about the history or the past, your characters need to belong to that era where, it is all about ancient times. It is not so. You can also think about, the characters they live and breathe with you at the moment. And otherwise, it's very difficult to convince your readers with the characters that you have set for your story, right? So let the characters engage with some historical details, maybe. So even if they are not the characters of that period, maybe they are engaging with some sort of a historical detail, and the backdrop or the incident that they are going to talk about is one that happened in history, right? So that could be one of your angles for exploring for the history category. But otherwise, even if you are writing about true events that happened in history, you can take a lot of creative liberty there. So you can talk about only the characters, maybe. Like if I want to give you an example, then you can talk about a murder happening in one of those royal mansions, right? So how about that? People are going to be interested because they want to know all about the kings and the queens in that royal mansion. And when the whole town stirs up because of this particular incident, then that's what is going to trigger or elicit the suspense response, right? So that's what we want. Even if you're writing about true incidents, then try to blend it along with having a lot of fictional details around it. But if you're going to introduce fictional characters, you can again complement them with some of the historical figures and try and move your story along. So both the ways, it's going to be a blend. Either you have historical figures with blended with a lot of fictional events, or you have a historical true event which you blend with some of the fictional characters, right? So it could be a two-way road. And you can of course inject your own unique personality to your story and keep it all the more entertaining, right? So that is about the characters, the first quintessential element there. And then of course we have the setting of our story. So for every story that we write, or for every story that we read, a sense of place is really very important, right? Only if you know where this whole situation is placed in, or where is it happening, right? If you have an idea of that, then it gets more and more exciting, isn't it? So you can maybe walk the same streets like your characters walked, or the gist is that try to write about a place which you clearly know about. Yes. So create an atmosphere that stays with you as the book progresses, and it adds a level of authenticity for your readers, right? And this also is going to help you in your world building, and in building your fictional characters, and also of course the mystery incident that you're going to invoke into your story, right? So the setting must be of the past, or it could also be a historical age. Yes. Now with that setting of the story established, let's move ahead to the incident, right? Now, since it is also a mystery genre that we have blended with history, so we need one particular incident that sets off the alarm, right? So this incident would be the scene of the crime around which the whole plot of the story revolves. And again, it could be a murder mystery, but at the same time, it could also be maybe a kidnapping mystery. So it need not be a murder mystery all the time, right? Usually, it is a murder mystery while you're writing historical mystery stories, or while you're reading one. But of course, you can come up with your own uniqueness. And even if you're going to write about the murder mystery, right, if your incident is a murder that has happened in one of those royal mansions, then it need not be gruesome and cruel, right? So again, you can take creative freedom there. It's all up to you as creative writers what you feel works for your story. And the crime must be committed in the past, or there should be a historical background attached to it, right? So simple that you see to it that there is mystery blended along with history, right? And that somehow rhymes there, isn't it? Yes. Okay. So with that, we come to the end of establishing the essentials. If you have some questions for me, I would be more than glad to assist you. You can write your questions in the chat box here. Yeah, and with that, I would like to move ahead to the next segment. So we have now established the essentials, and let's look at the first synonymous word for today, which is authenticity, right? So let me tell you, the word authenticity has synonyms: genuineness, validity, or legitimacy, right? Now check for all of these words in Google, find out the meaning, and you can also jot all of these words down so that you do not forget it, and try using it wherever appropriate, right? So the first synonymous word that we have for today is authenticity, which means genuineness, validity, or even legitimacy, right? With that, that is the first word covered in the synonymous segment. And for all my new viewers here, let me just bring this back that all of these segments, the synonymous, maybe the antonymous or the Google it segment, they have been specially, curated here in these episodes so that it is with the aim that you are able to amplify your vocabulary. And I would really recommend each one of you to be writing these words down, at least the words that are new to you. You can write them down, make a ready reckoner of sorts for yourself, and that's really going to help you in increasing your vocabulary word count, right? Now, after that synonymous segment, let me move ahead to the next icebreaker question. And it says, what is your favorite game? Okay, so I have a lot of favorite games. I can't actually name one. So let me tell you, in this lockdown, we as a family have played a lot of board games. To name a few, maybe Uno and Monopoly, Carrom board. We have played, kind of like tried to play indoor badminton in our small apartment houses. But yes, that was how we tried to like spend our lockdown time. But it was complete fun. And I know all of you would have some or the other favorite game. Do write to me in the chat box here and let me know, what did you do in the lockdown? Which is the game that you played in the lockdown the most, right? So yes, we have comments coming up here. Okay, Clash Royale is what Krishna tells me. Yes. Card games. Okay, got that. We have Uno come up there. We have Snakes and Ladders. Oh, yes. It is just so threatening when the snake bites us, isn't it? There's actually Snakes and Ladders actually gives us life lessons, right? Okay, a game of life. Scotland Yard, of course, yes, that is a fun game too. Lovely. So a lot of interesting games come up there. And let me move ahead to the next segment. You can, of course, keep writing to me, and I would definitely read out all of your answers. And here we are to the next segment, which is expert tips on establishing the essentials, right? So the first expert tip that we have here is that since we are going to write about history, you always have to remember that history, many a times, it leaves holes, and this is the ground that we can play on, right? So the juiciest bits are the bits between the facts, so try to make full use of it. And whatever the era that you're going to talk about in your story, the language of the common person is going to be really sketchily recorded. So what you can do is you can imagine how that person would have, what was the tone in which the person would have said certain things, and that's how you can write the dialogue delivery for your story, right? So imagine what they said and how they said it, and try filling up the holes that history most usually has left out for you, right? So that is one of the expert tips there. And the second expert tip that we can think of here is that in addition to getting your historical facts right, that is one important element, because you do not want your critics to find out a lot of faults with your story, right? So the historical event, whichever is going to be the backdrop of your story, that needs to be correct. And of course, not only the larger scheme of things, but also smaller details that you introduce into your story, these are important too, right? So you can probably jot down all of the historical happenings that you have included in your story, and be doubly sure that you have written it accurately, yes. And do not leave any scope for someone to point out your mistakes, yes. So there should be a mix of the right amount of truth so that there is not much scope for improvisation. Yes, so that's one of the additional expert tips here. Think about how it happened in history and see to it that you're covering the facts right. Yes, now after this, let's move ahead to the next synonymous word, and the word that we have here is inventory. Right, so inventory would mean jotting it down. It would mean similar word meanings would be listing, directory, or even record. So simply put, it is you're taking count, or you're jotting down all of the historical happenings that you have mentioned in your story, so that you can double check it and be really very sure that whatever you have written in your story is correct. Yes. Now with that, let me move ahead to the next segment. We have Momita Pranab Roy. Give me a like there. Thanks a lot, Momita. And Krishna Shivnani says, mm, only people who have knowledge of history can write this genre. Krishna, I would like to disagree with you there, because, of course, the knowledge of history, you can gain that from so many sources these days, right? There's a powerful internet as well. So you can definitely check out the facts in internet, or maybe in other trusted sources. And that's how you can be doubly sure of all that you're writing in your stories, right? So that's one of the tips that I have for all of you here. And along with that, I'm going to move ahead to the next segment, which is a fun segment. So we have the icebreaker question before that. And the question is, what do you like the most? Is it chocolate cakes or chocolate ice creams? Yes, do let me know in the chat box here. I think I would love to have both of them. Um, Chocolate cake along with a chocolate ice cream would be, I think, really fun, isn't it? Do let me know in the chat box what's your favorite one amongst these two. Ice creams, okay. I hear that. We have ice creams come up there, chocolate ice cream, lovely. Chocolate cakes as well. Yes, it's really interesting, isn't it? Sweet treats. Okay. So we have again a mixed bag of responses, just like we thought. Chocolate cakes, Krishna Shivnani, Varun, and Meher Soni says chocolate ice cream. Chocolate ice cream comes up there again. Okay, wow, that's beautiful. Lovely. So, yes, I think we all are drooling here right now, isn't it? Okay, so let's quickly move ahead to our next segment, which is the movie title trivia. And here, as you know, you need to guess these popular historical mystery movie titles, right? So, this is the first one that we have for today. Um, we can see half of that movie title there, and you need to guess the correct name of the movie. Let me see how many of you can give me the correct answers there. Waiting for your answers. Um, that's one famous fictional character there. No, it's not James Bond. Volume 5. Okay. What is the name of the movie? That is correct. Krishna gave me the correct answer. Let me reveal that out to you. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. That's the name of the movie there. And let me move ahead to the second one. Here we go. Okay. So there we have some interesting characters there for that movie. That's right, Krishna. I got that. Okay, so let me reveal this one. It is The Last Duel. And moving on to the third picture for the day. Can you see this one clearly? That is also a popular one. Don't know. Okay, not a problem at all. So I'm going to reveal this one out as well. It is Troy, The Fall of a City. That's the name of that movie there. And moving ahead to the next one, it is, yes, that is the correct answer. It is Rain. Krishna, I'm not sure. That's not the correct answer. And the last one now, brace yourselves for this one. So there's one particular incident that has triggered here, right? And we can see a lot of chaos there in our screens. So does anyone know the name of this movie here? Okay, so it's a timeout, and I just now had one message here. No, that's Book Thief is not the correct answer. It is Oliver Twist. That is the name of this movie here, and that's how history and mystery, both of these rhyming words, come together, right? Now let's move ahead to the next segment, which is the plotting the plot. And here again, for you to write something which is interesting for your audiences, right? For them to rack their brains and to really anticipate what's going to happen next, who is the culprit here for whatever that incident was triggered. Yes, to for them to know all of this in a brilliant sort of a way, we need to have an interesting plot, right? And for now, how can we write an interesting plot? That is something that is important here. And I'm going to give you three elements that you can think of for your story. The first one is world and culture, and we also have the crime and the clues, and of course the revelation that comes at the end, right? So for the world and culture, let me tell you that historical fiction storybooks, they have a lot to do with world building, and it needs to be authentic as well, and gives the readers some reason to come back again for these kind of stories, right? So include the historical details about the routine life in which your story takes place, and give your readers some historical context. There has to be a proper balance between all of these details, along with the familiar and relatable events that you write in your story. Yes, so that's a kind of a way in which you are going to bring out that perfect balance. Yes, and apart from that, let me also tell you that once again, my screen is really crashing here. Can you see me here? If you can give me a message that everything seems to be fine. Okay, yes. So I just now got a thumbs up there. Thanks a lot for that. Okay. So yes, so let me tell you that historical mystery writing, it's one kind of a genre where it's getting more and more popular these days, and it could be a story which is based on a true event or maybe a conspiracy, but getting the history right is one of the crucial aspects to it. Yes, so a book about historical mystery, it needs to be written effortlessly, create the background of the story without overwhelming the details, and sometimes you need to battle with the cliches of the past or assumptions that ran through the past, and you need to really make your way forward with the fine details along with the big picture. Yes, so whatever that historical backdrop is for your story, that needs to be correct. And if you're including some fictional characters into your story, then do a world building along with these characters and see to it that there is a perfect blend between both of these elements. Yes, now that was something about the world and the culture. And we often see that in historical mysteries, the setting, because it is of the past, it seems to be very familiar, right? So the series have recurring cast members whom the audiences tend to like or sometimes dislike, but they cannot really ignore all of these characters. And when you are working out a mystery novel, there has to be a proper outlining that needs to be done. You have to have a character sketch done for each of the characters that you're placing in your story, and all of these characters need to be really within the community, right? So there has to be a bond between these characters. If you're talking about a murder mystery that happens in a royal mansion, then of course all of those characters are going to be people maybe who are living in that mansion, or the other people who are working in that mansion, right? So there are going to be a lot of suspects as well that you place into that story, and how each of the person reacts to this trigger incident, or how they take the information, how well do they take the information about the victim. That is something that you would want to keep inside your plot, so that it turns more and more entertaining, right? So talk about the world and the happenings that revolves around in your story. And apart from that, the second plot building pointer that we have here is the crime and the clues. Now we are also talking about the mystery genre, right? So there are going to be a lot of evidences that we are going to place into our story. Maybe the weapons that were used, the technology that was used, all of this is also going to be appropriate with your historical background, right? So whatever is the setting or the backdrop that you're going to give to your story, just see to it that everything falls in place. It should not so happen that the background or the time period that you're talking about is of a way past period where these technologies did not even where these were not even relevant, right? So you need to really think about this, and see to it that all of the technology, the weaponry, or the evidences that you're going to plant into your story, they relate to the backdrop of the past that you're talking about. Yes. Now, another thing that I would want to mention here is that, readers, while they are engaged in reading your mystery story, they are always going to want to be smart enough to find out the culprit along with whosoever is the detective in that story, right? So give them that thrill as well, give them that satisfaction as well. And you can also plant a lot of clues in your story, so that the readers are able to figure it out by themselves, and they can take pride in their findings, right? So that is again another thrill element that you can be putting in your story. And I always believe that reading is really intuitive, right? So people, when they read the book, even after they have finished it, they tend to speculate and think about all of the events that happen throughout the story. And sometimes, it is really special for them when they can also think about all the elements that the detective of our story came up with, right? So give them that gift as well there. And you can plant a lot of clues and evidences and assist your readers in finding the culprit along with that detective there. Yes. So the crime and clues are also going to play an important and an interesting part of your story. And apart from that, the third plot building pointer that we would like to have here is the revelation, which is the ending of the story. And usually we see that a mystery novel, the tone of it is sour, and even though it is resolved in the end, depending upon what the mystery was, it can be bittersweet, it can be a happy ending, it can be sour. So it really depends on what the incident was, right? So if the incident was a kidnapping, and finally at the end of the story, whosoever was kidnapped, they come back safely to their haven, then it's a happy ending. But of course, if it is a murder mystery, then the loss has already been done, isn't it? So even if we tend to like capture who the culprit is, the ending is going to be a bittersweet one, because there is a sad event that already took place, right? So choose the ending that you find appropriate for your story according to the incident that you speak about in your story, right? Now, I have one of the comments here. Krishna is asking me, when will you make a video on sci-fi? Okay, so Krishna, let me tell you, there are a lot of subcategories that we have already covered in the sci-fi genre. And you can, of course, in YouTube, you can check for all of these videos in our PlanetSpark page. And I'm sure you'll find all of those videos there. Yes, do have a check on that. And let me move ahead. We have had apocalypse and so many other sci-fi genres that we have seen in all of these episodes happening in PlanetSpark Live TV, right? So do go through the YouTube videos, the past ones, and I'm sure you'll find the sci-fi genre there. Yes, great. And let us now move ahead to the next synonymous word, which is saddened. Okay, so saddened would have synonyms grieved, dispirited, or depressed, right? So you can check out all of these words here, but of course, we know the meaning of saddened, yes. So let's move ahead to the next segment. It is the expert tips on our plotting the plot for a historical mystery. And here is the first expert tip. And what this first expert tip entails is that, whatever the historical era that you're going to talk about, it's going to have different vocabulary, different grammatical structures. So according to that, your text of the story is also going to change. Yes, so you can include occasional words and phrases to reinforce the historical setting. But of course, I would say that don't overwhelm your audiences with a lot of difficult words to read. Yes, keep it simple. But of course, just to reinforce that historical setting, maybe in some places you can incorporate some of the phrases and words, right? This was the first expert tip. And the second expert tip is that you can always use a historical period as a backdrop. So suppose if you're talking about the Victorian era, then that is going to be your backdrop for your story. And you can place fictional characters within that backdrop, and also the events that happened, or the incident that triggered this particular suspense or mystery. That incident could also be a fictional incident that stems up from your imagination, right? Or maybe you can turn it around and choose historical events, right? Something that those were real incidents that happened in the past, and you can create fictional characters and plant them in this historical background setup, right? So again, it could be a two-way road, and this is one of the moments to consider whose point of view are we talking about in the story, right? Who is it who is giving that narrative? Yes, that is also another thing that's going to drive your story forward, so you need to think about that aspect as well. And again, the point to be noted here is that it could be a two-way road, either a historical event with fictional characters, or um, a fictional event with historical characters. So it could be any which ways. And this is the second expert tip. Too many angles for you to explore and write your short story or a book on historical mystery. Yes. Now moving ahead, we have the next synonymous word, which is backdrop. And let me tell you, backdrop would mean scenery, background, or even set, right? So these were the synonymous words for today. And now I take you through the crossword segment, the fun segment, the locate the words. And here I will be showing you a letter maze. And you need to have an eagle's vision to find out all the words. These words could be written horizontally, it could be written diagonally, and even vertically. And let me tell you that all of these words are from today's episode. Yes, so do check out all of these words here and write to me in the chat box. You need to do this quickly because the clock has already started ticking, right? Okay, so we have the first word come up there, which is crime. That is correct. Okay, and quickly give me all the other words there. Crime is correct. Olden, that is right again. What is the next word? Okay, history is another word that I get here. That is correct again. Krishna has suggested that she wants a parallel universe next time. Okay, Krishna, point noted. Okay, and let me now quickly reveal the answers. Three of the words have already come here. We have crime, and then we have olden, and of course, the third word was history. So we today had only three words going, And let's move ahead to the next segment, which is the recommendation of the day, right? So it is a movie by the name Killers of the Flower Moon. Do check that movie out. It's going to be an interesting watch. And with that recommendation of the day, let me move ahead to the next segment, which is the quick roundup of all the learnings that we have had today's episode. And first things first, we have the essentials. So we are going to talk about the characters, maybe fictional characters or historical characters, and of course, a sense of place is something that we are going to be really keen on in understanding for our historical mystery story. So, do talk about the setting of your story, give vivid visualization to your readers. And one of the incidents that's going to trigger this feeling of mystery and hair raising thrill is something that we would want to include in our story. Only then the mystery genre is going to get triggered, right? So the incident could be a crime that happened, any sort of a crime. Most usually, historical mystery is all about murder mystery, right? So again, depends on you as creative writers. And finally, let me also take you through the plot building pointers. And here we saw how we can be planting a lot of evidences and clues to support our readers in finding the culprit. And finally, we would have the big reveal, which is going to actually give a pride to all of your readers, because if they are able to solve the mystery by themselves and unravel the puzzle, then they are going to be really happy at that big reveal, right? So that's the revelation that we want to give. It might be bittersweet, it can be sour, or it can also be a happy ending. So depends really on the incident that you have introduced into your story plot, right? Now, after all of these refresher segments, let me move ahead to the next one, where I would definitely encourage each one of you to be doing this project work, where you try writing a fun small piece on the historical mystery story, right? So that's going to be an interesting one. And for tomorrow, let me tell you, we are going to be back again with the horror genre. And until the time I meet you next tomorrow, I want all of you to take good care of yourselves and have a happy time. Yes, I am Sapna Mahadevan signing out. Krishna says bye to me. Bye there, Krishna. And we will meet tomorrow, right? Thanks for dropping in, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.